Welcome to the Scariest Things podcast, your gateway to the tropes and trends of the horror genre. Tonight we are talking about something not scary, something funny.
Yeah, and
Horror comedy.
like peanut butter and chocolate.
It is like
Yep.
peanut butter. It's exactly like peanut butter and chocolate.
Mhm.
And this
You
is
got your horror in my comedy. You got your comedy in my horror.
Comedy in my
Two
horror.
great tastes that taste great together.
this is a rich tradition that has gone on for, probably as long as horror's been around. There's been a comedic take on it, and I think it's a function of the fact that sometimes horror's just too scary, and you need to lighten it up. But people are still titillated and interested by horror.
Yes.
But this is a way to ease people into it.
Yes, I think if for gateway films you ask, scaredy cats, it's like they'll say I don't like horror movies, but I really like Shaun of the Dead, right? And it's
Bingo.
like,
Right.
Done. Let's do it.
yep.
Keep
And so
going.
This
going.
is the gateway, the big gateway right here.
It is the
And
big
with-
gateway.
With big lights over the top of it, saying "You will laugh, you will scream,"
Yeah.
Yes.
all that kind of stuff.
Chills, thrills, terror.
Yeah, it's like it's the fun house.
It is. It is. Eric, that's actually a good segue. Why don't you remind folks, for folks that are new to the podcast, what's our mission statement? What's our vision? What's our strategic goal for this podcast? What are we doing here?
We are your gateway to the
Yes.
trends and tropes of the horror genre, and
Which means
this is the we start in the kiddie pool, and it starts getting deeper and deeper, and you can decide at what point you want to start swimming, right? And
Do you
So I
wanna-
think horror comedies are like those, what do they call them? Cocktail pools. So you're kind of sitting in there. You're not in the kiddie pool. You're not in the deep end. You're just enjoying
and you can turn the bubbles on.
3
That's
feet
right.
deep. Yeah.
you're getting on
So-
the 9 millimeter diving, or the not 9 meter.
I know.
You're getting on the 9 meter diving board.
By the way, hey, did we miss we didn't do the intros yet, did we?
Well, this is Mike Campbell,
yeah,
and I am with, of course, as always,
Eric Lee.
and from New
Liz
Orleans,
Williams.
Louisiana, Liz Williams.
That's me.
And
me.
Liz about ready to go on a great adventure across the world. So we're going to try and bust through some of these horror comedies, so she can enjoy her vacation.
2 weeks in sunny Transylvania.
Yeah,
Yep, that's it.
doing the Chernobyl Diaries trip. It's gonna be fabulous. So okay, when you pick through your lists, guys,
Yes.
okay, because you can there's sort of a sort of a pendulum difference between, say Ghostbusters, which is much more comedy than horror.
Right.
Evil Dead a little bit more, which is more horror than comedy, but they're both horror comedies.
Right.
Uh,
Evil Dead 2 is more comedy than horror.
or
Right.
well, that's or Shaun of the Dead, which is about half and half,
Right. And then
Um,
Army of Darkness, which is
almost full comedy.
full comedy, little horror.
Yep. And so when you considered this, I mean, because there are a lot of, we've talked at length about a number of the great ones, because there's some that are people are familiar with. I'm trying to do a second layer dig so that we don't.
And there's a bunch that made our top 100 list.
Oh yeah, well, and I don't know if you guys are picking off top 100 types, but
Nope.
these are so things like What We Do in the Shadows, Zombieland, Shaun of the Dead, things that instantly recognizable. And so if you like that kind of stuff for your gateways, we're going to say here are some other things you might want to check out.
That's right. I
Right.
picked films that made me laugh the first time and continue to make me laugh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think
Ones
that
would hold up.
I actually, in binging this, there were a few movies that I had high hopes for.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of disappointed me because I didn't laugh.
Such as.
Mm.
Deathgasm.
Shut up. It's on my list.
Okay, well that got a laugh out of me right there.
Well, at least we won't have a crossover.
All right, well, maybe this is where we start. Liz, you can kick off and you can
Yes.
defend
I
Deathgasm.
will kick off, and I will now start with that one because I also have a theme. All of my horror comedies are music related.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
Deathgasm, a film that Eric doesn't like. Just kidding.
I
is
didn't
a
say it was-
2015 film from New Zealand.
Yep.
It's directed by Jason Lee Howden, and it is about. Oh, hang on, guys. I closed my Deathgasm tab on my computer.
The Deathgasm tab. Don't close the Deathgasm tab.
It stars an actor named Milo Cawthorn, who also is the Green Power Ranger.
Okay.
It is about two teenage boys who unwittingly summon an ancient evil entity known as the Blind One by delving into black magic while trying to escape their mundane lives. So the main character's name is Brody, and after his mother is institutionalized in a mental hospital, he goes to live with his aunt and uncle who are like Christian fundamentalists. And he is into metal, black metal, death metal, speed metal, thrash metal, all the metals.
Sounds like Mike Campbell.
Yeah, all the metals. So his only friends at a new school are kind of the losers who run the AV club and play D&D all day until he meets Zach, another heavy metal guy at the local record store. So him, Brody, Zach, and the geeky friends, Dion and Giles, all decide that they're going to form a band, heavy metal, and its name is Deathgasm. So they're all fans of they're all fans of this other metal musician named Ricky Daggers, and rumor had it that he has been hiding out for years in a small New Zealand town. And guess what town it is? It's their town. So they find him in an abandoned house, and he gives them an album and tells them to like take it away and not come back because the people who are coming for him have found him. So they take this album, and inside of it is like sheet music, and it's called The Black Hymn. So of course they're going to play it. And what does death metal do better than anything else? It summons the devil. So that's what happens. And this one is, I mean, I can get why you wouldn't laugh. It is 12-year-old boy toilet humor. It is boobs. Yes. It is
oh my gosh, yeah.
blood. It is
Very
silly
bloody
and
movie.
ridiculous.
Yes.
I think that's funny.
There you go.
It has all the elements, and it has a great soundtrack. And, you know, I mean, there's a scene where he's like on an ice cream date with this girl, and he's wearing corpse
That
paint.
was great.
It's just been,
That was
like,
awesome.
Doing their record photo shoot. So
who did the Liz?
Maybe you got to be a fan of black metal and death metal to get how silly some of this is sometimes. So
who did
Liz?
Hilarious. Who did the soundtrack? Did you unearth that? Was it an actual metal band? All right.
I do not have that.
And I think to defend my position here, after sort of throwing Deathgasm under the bus, I've heard great things about it. I mean, yeah. I may be I may be one of the odd ones out in this case. I know that like Liz is not a fan of The Shining, which is which is a fairly popular movie, but you have your own reasons like it didn't connect with you. You know, I think my issue. What was the buddy's name? The guy, the bass player who's the bit of the traitor. The traitor, not traitor,
it's
then
either
traitor again.
Dion or Giles. It's one of the. Zach, the one who goes after the girl and
and
sabotages him. Yeah, Zach.
Zach drove me crazy. I just wanted to punch Zach.
Well, so let me say what Jason Lee Howden, the director, put on his Instagram a while ago. So he's been working on Deathgasm 2, and so he posted like a picture of the front page of his screenplay, and he said, "There's literally more gore in the first 10 minutes of this than in the entire first Deathgasm.
Holy
if you
moly.
kind of like the first, this will make your head implode. If you thought the first was puerile, juvenile, and dumb, then Goremageddon, which is the subtitle of the second one, will melt your face off and force you to barricade yourself inside, safe with some Terrence Malick movies and Coldplay."
Well, I think one of my other takeaways is that there were some record store scenes where they're flipping through the albums, and I was like, there be Mike Campbell flipping through LPs, going through trying to find the most obscure
Deathgasm 2, Goremageddon.
Yeah. Well, Mike, so have you seen Deathgasm yet?
I did see Deathgasm, and I liked it a lot. I thought it was a really funny, great premise. My only complaint with Deathgasm was that the final act devolved into almost like an action film.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
But I loved the first 2 acts. I loved the premise. I thought the actors were really great. I thought the kids were really wonderful. And I thought their loving treatment, earnest and loving treatment of heavy metal was also authentic.
My favorite moment from the movie was the pullback helicopter shot of them scrawling "Hail Satin"
Right.
in the yard. It was like, come on, you guys, which was awesome. Hail Satin.
Coming from a guy,
two out of 3 would recommend this movie, huh? For us.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. 2.5.
And I wouldn't
2.5 out of 3.
I wouldn't bag it. Yeah, I'd say it was pretty good. It wasn't what I was hoping it was going to be monumentally funny. I thought it was going to be Spinal Tap funny.
Coming from a guy who once mowed a Blue Oyster Cult logo into the backyard of my parents' house with a lawnmower,
Yeah.
I totally recommend Deathgasm.
Good.
All right. My number 3 film on my Terrible Trio list, this is a film that Eric Lee from The Scariest Things once said, there are some horror movies that are considered works of art, films held in high art reverence, such as The Exorcist or The Shining. And there's a much larger group of horror movies that go for the chills and thrills of a mass audience, usually with some comedy and high body count, films like Scream, Halloween, or Nightmare on Elm Street. But even more numerous are exploitation films that they will attract you, that will attract an audience if you promise boobs and blood. In the bilge water of exploitation films are movies like Zombievers. Terrible acting married up with terrible effects and unfunny humor. What's not to love? So Eric gave this. I think
I give 1 star with in parentheses 4 stars.
Yes, I totally agree with that, and I totally disagree with that. Yes, the thing I love about Zombievers is this is. I mean, the whole plot is this. It's a pair of truckers who are transporting toxic chemicals. A deer jumps out in front of their truck. They strike the deer. They lose one of the canisters. The canister rolls into the river, floats downstream, and splashes beavers with toxic chemicals. Voila, Zombievers. Ain't no more complicated than that. The thing, Eric and I did see Zombievers together, and it is a very, very funny film. In particular, the pair of truckers played by John Mayer and Bill Burr do a wonderful, wonderful job. And in fact, I was kind of surprised their dialogue amongst each other is so damn funny that there was actually in the outtakes on the DVD a whole series of discussions between the two truck drivers who kind of like play throughout the course of the film that was not included in the film. And I mean, you could have made a film, frankly, just around the two truck drivers and Zombievers.
Yeah.
Although,
but then you wouldn't get the boobs.
You wouldn't get the boobs. And the thing that's great is that all I will say is that about Zombievers with regard to the characters in the film is that because there's a whole series of teen and teen-like characters who really play deeply against the tropes of horror. And every time in the film you think, oh, they're going to do X or they're going to go to the cabin to do X. They do not do that. And so in that regard, it's kind of a clever film. Interestingly, Zombievers, I thought this was this was great. It opened in the U.S. in 2015, and it ended the weekend with a 63rd place in the U.S.
It actually placed.
Yes. Finishing, it grossed, guess how much it grossed in the opening weekend?
$2 million.
It grossed $8,163.
Wow.
The total U.S. gross for Zombievers, total, $14,947. Its worldwide gross, $44,000.
My God,
Oh my gosh.
less than a new car.
Less than a new car, and you could have Zombievers all to yourself.
I'm sure that it's actually made more than enough money on streaming to
Oh, yeah.
it's one of those kinds of things where it's like a lot of the things that if they're just festival circuit darlings and stuff
Yeah.
like that. This
Yeah.
was not a festival circuit
Not a
darling,
darling.
but it is. This is a so bad it's good.
It 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like at the top of the so bad it's good list.
Because it's actually it's dumb and goofy, but completely watchable.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So
Yep.
and just the notion of it's the irony of things of zombie beavers is, and all the double entendres. You get
yeah.
all the beaver jokes.
Yep.
And it's like, and it's shameless. But that's that is why you watch something like that. As I said, it's from the bilge water of the bottom of the horror pool. This one entertains.
Indeed.
It makes you feel a little dirty, but that's all right.
Go see Zombievers. All right, Eric, what do you got?
Well, speaking of ironic animal horror movies, I'm going with the 2006 New Zealand film called Black Sheep. So what is
I love this one.
what is the least scary animal? What is the most peaceful, sweet animal in the world? It's a sheep. And
It's not a beaver?
no, beavers at least have like big teeth. They can knock a tree on your head, right?
That's true.
No, this is the Black Sheep is it's a pitch perfect comedy.
Mhm.
And what you have here is a what is New Zealand known for? Well, it's
Lord of the Rings.
and sheep and rolling hills. And so young Henry Oldfield, he is a prodigal son returning back to New Zealand, where his father and his older brother Angus, great name for a shepherd, are still running a fairly productive sheep farm. But because he was picked on as a young boy by Angus, Henry has a fear of sheep, and there's actually somewhere in there. I'm gonna have to ask one of you to help me research what the name of the phobia is for sheep.
Sheepophobia.
I would like to call it sheepophobia, but it's not. There actually is something. There is an identification of fear of sheep, which is very strange. Fear of goats, I get, because Black Phillip is a pretty scary animal. Sheep are cuddly.
Ovinophobia.
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 So anyway, so he's got a case of that, and he's actually coming back, and he wants to sell back his portion of the farm that's entitled to him back to Angus. And Angus has been trying to create super sheep, and so that they could make oodles and oodles of money. But unbeknownst to Henry, these super sheep, they got like some sort of a mutant strain, kind of, it's glowing green. It's it's like that can't be good, and they're injecting these sheep to try and make them the most sellable, best of breed kind of things. But there's a backside. For every good one that comes out, there's a mutant that comes out, and they jam the mutants into these barrels. And a couple of environmental activists named Grant and Experience, a great name, they are aware of this strain, the mutant strain, and so they go into the barn, find the experiment, they steal a vial of it, and as they're trying to get away, sort of the idiot Grant, he's a do-gooder who just wants to try to impress the real true believer who is Experience. He stumbles and falls, and he accidentally infects a lamb with the mutant gene, and then that lamb ends up kind of getting cannibalistic, and it bites. It starts bleeding, and then an older sheep comes up. It's like, oh, what's wrong, baby? And then the lamb bites it, and all of a sudden you've got an infected flock of sheep that, when they bite humans, turn people into were-sheep. And it is patently ridiculous. And there's something about, and now we've got two New Zealand films, back to back. But
back to back, yes.
But so situationally, it's ridiculous and
Right.
funny. But that there's They're
Is
one
there
of my
is there a
favorite lines.
Black Sheep 2 coming out?
I
Or-
don't think so.
It seems
It was ripe for it.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, yeah.
But
Although I guess now, 13 years later, if we haven't had a Black Sheep 2, we may not be getting a Black
yeah,
Sheep
you
2.
never know. I don't know how successful this was.
Yeah.
But so one of the lines that they have is that so Henry eventually runs into Henry and his the hireling on the farmhand go out and they run into it, and and his buddy gets bitten and starts mutating into a were-sheep, and so they're trying to find a cure, and eventually a lot of people get bitten, and Henry asks Experience, "What's that?" And she goes, "Geranium, aromatherapy for uplift and hormonal balance. Do your hormones really need balancing?" It's like, considering I've been attacked by genetically engineered monsters, jumped off a moving vehicle, been chased across a paddock, dragged into a torture chamber, pulled into a mountain of rotting flesh. Yes, my hormones need fucking balancing. and it has it manages to capture the irony of the situation. And then there's the grand moment is when a herd of mutant sheep descend upon a bunch of investors and starts attacking them and tearing their guts out. It is wildly hysterical. And then there's the ending, which I won't give away.
Do not.
Which is special. It is a special conclusion to the thing that had me howling with laughter.
And it leads you to believe that there should be a Black Sheep 2.
Absolutely. I would love to see Black Sheep 2. This is available on Amazon.
Yep.
Easy streaming.
Yeah, you can get this any which where.
Okay, so moving on.
Yes, moving on.
Liz.
Oh, all right. My next one, I'm keeping with my music theme. This one is 2008's indie horror comedy called Dance of the Dead.
Oh.
It is directed by Greg Bishop. It premiered at South by Southwest and was picked up immediately by Sam Raimi's production company. They wanted to get this movie out here. And this is a movie that on prom night, the dead start rising from the graves, and the only people who can save the town are the losers who couldn't get dates to the dance. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, this is a great movie. The town, of course, you see looming in the background, nuclear power plants. So that's probably why we've got our zombies rising from the grave. And so even though they do come out of the grave and they are undead, they're still fast zombies, which I don't know. That doesn't always seem to work out for me. I normally think fast zombies are virus zombies. But
yep.
These ones, you have all your tropes of all your teenagers. You've got, kind of the high school like the class clown, who's played by an actor named Jared Kusnitz, and his name is Jimmy. He's a pizza delivery guy, and so he drives this like kind of like a Suburban with a giant pizza on top of it. So that's always a gimmick car is always funny. An actress named Grayson Chadwick is Lindsay, his girlfriend, who dumps him right before the prom because he doesn't take anything seriously, and she's on student council on the prom committee. And then you've got an actor named Blair Redford playing Nash Rambler, and he is the leader of the punk band named Quarter Punk. And they are the only ones, the music of their punk band holds the zombies at bay. So this group of ragtag teens, and of course the coach who runs detention, who is also, has a ton of weapons at his home, have to save the whole town and save the students who are all in the prom before the zombies get there. Another juvenile comedy. It's a lot of, stupid jokes, a lot of gore, a lot of fun, and I don't think it's really a too well-known movie.
No, it's new to me. This one.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it is available to stream, I believe. Yep, it's on Prime. So if you have
you
a
can get it on Amazon. Yeah,
you can check this one out for free.
Yeah, no, it's one of those ones you see a bunch of times and you kind of wander on past. So it's good to know that
it's worth a watch.
Yes, that one of us has seen it and says, "Go get on it."
Do it, folks.
Yes.
All right.
A watch.
My number 2 on my terrible trio list is a film that Eric Lee from the Scariest Things podcast said,
again,
the romantic comedy angle could have felt forced, but the actors were so natural in their chemistry that it was hugely endearing. How many horror films can also integrate a good romantic comedy?
Yes, I know what this is.
The pickings
Yay.
are very, very, very small, where all the elements click just right, and that's what you get with Extraordinary. It's light,
Yay.
it's fun, it's gross when it needs to be, and it also provides homages in just the right way. Wait for a wonderful Exorcist reference that is similarly handled with great delicacy and timing. This is 2019's Extraordinary, which you can't stream anywhere, which is a I
Total
like
bummer. And so
It
Mike
is-
falls into the Eric trap of actually promoting a movie that's not available for viewing, but it's so good that we want you to know about it now.
Yes. So you can read
It still has a 100 on Rotten Tomatoes, and all of us gave it 5 stars, huh? I mean,
Oh, 100%.
we loved
Yeah.
it.
And we may
Yeah.
yes, you may hear me talk about this again in the course of
Top of the year.
yes, best films of the year because it
Oh,
really
for
is
sure.
it really is a great film, and I would argue it's basically the most perfect horror comedy ever made.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why it's not coming out though.
Yeah.
Who
'Cause it was-
doesn't want to
Weird.
distribute this unless they're trying to negotiate for a better deal? Because this thing should be a hit.
It was actually released on like September 3rd of this year. So it was released somewhere somehow. I don't know that is apparently it's the company that really I guess the production company that released it is Wildcard Distribution. So Wildcard is not doing a great job with their distribution.
Get on it, wild card.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we need this. People need to see this.
This is an Irish horror comedy film that basically focuses largely around Rose. That she's the main character in the film, and Rose is a small town driving instructor, and she is gifted with supernatural abilities. And the trick, however, is that these supernatural abilities were imparted on her by way of her now deceased father, who was also a paranormal, sort of a paranormal hunter and a ghost enthusiast. And Rose is incredibly distraught, I guess you could say, by her supernatural abilities, and does everything she can to basically get away from those supernatural abilities, and largely refuses to use those supernatural abilities until she is forced to do so. The second piece of the film involves an excellent acting by Will Forte, who plays a
Yes.
washed-up one-hit wonder named Christian Winter. Who's
Will Forte and his fabulous mustache.
Yes, Will Forte and his
Oh,
fabulous
so good.
mustache. Yeah, he is an American rock star who has emigrated to Ireland following his one hit in the 1970s. I
Yeah,
think
it's kind of like a nod to something like Donovan or
Yeah.
Yanni
Yeah,
or someone
yeah.
someone who's
Yeah.
not it's like really like dubious talent, but managed to sell his soul for that big hit.
Yes, he is an evil, dunderheaded wannabe Satanist who is doing everything he can to resurrect his career with the help of Satan. And then, of course, Christian Winter, played by Will Forte, and Rose, played by, I don't recall, Rose is wonderful though. The two of them collide in a clash of good and evil in this small Irish town. And as Eric said, it really is. It's very rare. It's very rare in any film, any film, horror and otherwise, where all the pieces and parts of the film click together.
Yeah.
This clicks in just ways that are just unimaginable.
Yeah, and it's a romantic comedy.
Right.
And it's something that is exceedingly rare in horror movies to have the things that click, the romance clicks.
Right.
Huge that is so hard to find, and like maybe The Fly had it.
Right.
But just like that's a list on 10 fingers
Right.
that you can pick out, and of those which actually can make you laugh out loud,
Right.
you're down to one. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
You're down to 2019's Extraordinary.
yes, which we saw at the Overlook Film Festival. I think
Yep.
all three of us sat together with it, and we came out wowed.
Yep.
Yep. So
Loved
go, go check this out. Read Eric's review. You will not be disappointed by this film.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, what do you got?
Well, this is one of my favorites, and as Liz knows, what am I a fan of, Liz?
Oh.
Creature features.
Oh,
You are. I was gonna say characters you care about.
No, that
and
too.
creatures.
That too. This is the another 2006 film. 2006 was a good year for horror comedies. This is from a director who has found a lot more fame and fortune recently, James Gunn. This is Slither.
oh yeah.
And-
Heck yeah. We saw this in the theater.
Yeah, it is so it's so funny, and it's got a now for in hindsight, Nathan Fillion, Elizabeth Banks, Greg Henry, Michael Rooker. That they didn't have big profiles at the time, but now they are.
Pam Beasley.
Pam Beasley was.
Jenna from the
Yeah.
Office.
Pam from The Office.
Yeah, okay,
Pam from
that
The Office.
right, yes.
Yes.
And this is it is a classic small town invaded by critters, and these are the town gets beset by a sentient extraterrestrial parasite that looks like a bloody slug, and it will bite and infect and do very strange things to humans. It turns one poor woman into a giant zeppelin which is one of the most disgusting things you'll ever see.
Oh, that's right, in the barn.
Yeah,
right?
it's like,
oh
I'm
God,
gross.
yeah.
Like, I'm
Gross.
so,
So
hungry.
gross. It's so gross.
And that's like the moment you go, oh man, and you realize how gross James Gunn can go. Because his background was through trauma. He knows lowbrow, but he was given a decent budget, and unlike a lot of other trauma productions, he's actually funny, and so these slugs start creeping through town, and people are wondering what's going on. Michael Rooker is the sort of the town rich man, and he's Grant, and he stumbles across something that spikes him and turns him into some Lovecraftian beast that he slowly evolves into. And Elizabeth Banks is his trophy wife, and there's a lot of these conversations where it's like, "What's wrong, honey? Nothing. It's just a bee sting." And it's like his whole face is just completely falling apart. And they play the Air Supply song "Every Woman in the World" in the background. He goes, "Come on, just give me a little kiss." And she goes, no. And it's so.
Did Slither make our top 100 list?
I don't know. It should have. It is.
Didn't make our top 320.
It was. There were votes. We'll have to go back. You might be able to.
Yes.
You can. It's
Might
something
be able to.
easy enough to wiki. But needless to say, the story is fairly straightforward. Nathan Fillion is Bill Party, who is the local sheriff trying to control the hysteria. So in addition to Grant and Starla Grant, who's Elizabeth Gates, there's the mayor, Greg Henry, who is the perfect. He's always spouting funny stuff. I am stunned that he hasn't gotten more good comedy roles in Hollywood, actually, because he was dang perfect in this thing relative for his role. Because he was always the shocked everyman. He was us reacting to really disgusting things happening on screen. And Tanya Saulnier played Kylie, who is the local pretty girl who gets the cover shows her in a bathtub and the slugs crawl in, and it's like, oh no, don't let it get into you. So I think to get the flavor of this. This thing is full of fantastic quotes, but so here I got a couple here. Bill Party said in this scene, 2 nights ago, Mary was stolen from this property by Fitzgibbon, that rancher with the cleft plate. And then one of the side characters goes, I know that guy. He looks like a chipmunk. And it's like, your mama wasn't too proud of you when you came out either, Wally. I love that bit. And then there's Kylie, the young girl, goes, what are we going to do now? And Bill Party goes, probably turn into a couple of these fucked up things. And then Kylie goes, that's kind of negative. And Bill Party goes, well, it's been that sort of day. And so this really, really wry sensibility. And it's loaded with funny bits. It's also really gross. So it hits it. I think this is another one like Shaun of the Dead, which hits the 50-50 meter. 50% comedy, 50% horror, and is pretty good at both.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And also, much like Deathgasm, much like Black Sheep, although we know with Deathgasm we are getting a second one.
Like
you could easily make a Slither 2.
Yeah, I think the problem with Slither 2 was, I think, when it was originally done, I think it was too gross for people.
Oh yeah.
And so it was known as a bit of a minor flop,
right?
Because it didn't do great box office.
Clearly not too gross for the Scariest Things podcast.
Oh no. This was right up in like when it comes to gross movies, I do like creature feature gross.
Yep.
So that's my number 2.
All right, Liz.
I'm on my number 1.
Number
I guess,
1.
Now,
more music. Are we getting more music? Please tell us we're getting more music.
We are getting more music.
Yay!
It's a little bit different kind. And this is a movie. It is very, very, very lowbrow. I love it. Most of the world probably disagrees with me. I've talked about it a little bit before, but it's perfect to slide it in here. This is 2004's Broken Lizards Club Dread, directed by Jay Chandrasekhar. So Broken Lizards is a comedy group. Yep. They're most well known for Super Troopers. That is them. So this is the same group. And Club Dread, I'm going to read you a little synopsis. Years ago, Coconut Pete, who is played by Bill Paxton, had a hit record, but now he runs a tropical island resort where he spends his days basking in hedonism with the rest of the resort's offbeat staff. The paradise Coconut Pete presides over becomes a living hell when an unknown killer begins slaughtering the staff one by one. And as the body count increases, so does the suspicion among the survivors. Now it's up to Coconut Pete and what's left of the staff to solve the mystery, stop the bloodshed, or at least hide it from the guests. So this is Coconut Pete. He's kind of a Jimmy Buffett character. He runs this island.
Which is also scary.
He's not scary.
Oh.
But it's a slasher film. It's a classic slasher with very lowbrow juvenile jokes that, you know what? It's not a guilty pleasure at all because I'm not guilty, but I think people would call it a guilty pleasure. Other ones that like it. I guess sometimes my sense of humor is that of a, middle school boy. And this is one of those times. I love this movie. I don't know why. It's totally ridiculous.
Mike, I think that's going to have to be, because have you seen this one yet?
No, I have not.
So
I will.
We're gonna have to do a watch.
I will get on it and do a review.
And
send us the DVD.
It's so old that it's not letterbox. It's a square.
Okay.
It's a square in the middle.
Do you know if it's streaming?
But I think it might. You can rent it, but it's not.
Not free streaming.
Unless you have Hulu. I think it actually might be on Hulu.
I think now that I got the Disney Channel thingy, I think I get Hulu with that. I'll double check.
Oh, well, then you should check it out if it's on there. It's totally stupid, totally ridiculous. All the characters are, sorry excuses for humans. They're just terrible people. But it's just funny. And it's, my favorite. You've been doing some quotes. My favorite one is they're all sitting around a campfire one night, and Bill Paxton as Coconut Pete has got his guitar, and he's about to play, and there's this super drunk girl who's yelling at him to play Margaritaville. And he's like, I think you mean Pina Coladaburg. Margaritaville. It's like, no, I think you mean my hit single, Pina Coladaburg. So it's all just stupid Jimmy Buffett jokes.
Nice.
Like that.
I love Bill Paxton.
Ridiculous. I love Bill Paxton.
Gone too soon.
Indeed.
Gone way too soon. And so I guess this and Frailty and Near Dark, he's, a horror icon.
Yes, he is.
I don't think he's going to go down in history for this one, but he will for me. I love it.
All right.
So check it out.
All right. My number 1 is a film that George Romero touched on, Dan O'Bannon touched on, Tobe Hooper touched on for a hot second.
Oh.
Yeah. Are you intrigued?
I am intrigued.
Are you intrigued?
I've got something in my mind.
Okay. The other thing that was shocking about this film, I'm going to tease this out a little bit further. I'm going to be a little bit more coy. I looked at a lot of top 100, or not top 100, because, maybe there are top 100 horror comedies, but I looked around for the best horror comedies, and this did not appear on any of them, and I was really, really shocked. This is the 1985 American comedy horror film Return of the Living Dead.
No kidding.
Yeah. And I actually rewatched it last night, no joke, and it is still as funny as it was when I saw it in 1985 in high school. And it is such an amazing, amazing film.
Yeah.
This stars Clu Gallagher, James Karen, Tom Matthews, Don Calfa as Ernie, the mortician friend, and a group of teenage punks dealing with the accidental release of a horde of brain-hungry zombies onto an unsuspected California town, which is really all shot in Kentucky. The film is much like Zombievers, no more simple than a new warehouse foreman or a new warehouse worker at the Unita Medical Supply is hanging out with the warehouse foreman, Frank Johnson, and the kid asks Frank at the medical supply company, "What is the weirdest thing you've ever seen come through
see
here?"
something cool?
And Frank says, "Oh, well, this is all based on a true story, and apparently there was a spill of experimental military chemical designated the 2,4,5 trioxin that resulted in the reanimation of the dead. So there was a slight mix-up. The Unita Medical Supply Company ended up with several barrels of the 2,4,5 trioxin.
And as it just so happens,
They go down into the basement. He says, the kid famously says, "Are these things solid? They won't leak, will they?" And he says, "Oh, hell no. These were made by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers." Spank.
famous last words.
Yep.
And yeah, the gas is released. They end up turning into zombies, and then of course the gas is released into the nearby cemetery, and the zombies descend on not only the Unita Medical Supply Company, the zombies descend onto the mortuary where Don Calfa, Ernie, the mortician friend, is hanging out doing his work late into the evening. This movie, man, is so funny. Apparently, though, the piece that I was referencing earlier, John Russo, who worked on Night of the Living Dead, he and George Romero parted ways shortly after Night of the Living Dead in 1968, and Russo retained the rights to any titles related to Living Dead.
Oh.
And so Romero was free to create whatever he wanted, but he just couldn't use the term Living Dead. And so it had been kicking around for some time with Russo, and he wanted to do like Return of the Living Dead, and he wanted to do like a whole 3D kind of thing. And so he went to Tobe Hooper, and Tobe Hooper said, yeah, I'll totally do this. I'm really, really interested, but I've got this other project, Life Force,
Whoops.
that I want to get onto. And so he handed it off to Dan O'Bannon, and Dan O'Bannon was the one who directed Return of the Living Dead. The other thing I think is great about Return of the Living Dead is, of course, and I think we've talked a little bit about this, and I might have even mentioned it in the course of our podcast where we talked about best horror soundtracks of all time.
Yes.
This soundtrack has The Cramps. It has 45 Grave. It has TSOL. It has The Flesh Eaters. It has SSQ. It has Rocky Erickson, and it has The Damned.
Yeah. So this
You
is
cannot-
pure punk provenance.
Pure punk provenance, and it's got Linnea Quigley too.
Yeah, and
Who is
trash.
Trash, who is largely naked for the better part of the film.
Spectacularly naked.
Spectacularly naked. So if you're looking to see a naked Linnea Quigley, you get a solid 45 minutes.
Yeah,
Of
or
like,
watch any Linnea Quigley movie. That's her job is the topless woman
Yes.
typically, but she is it's the whole gang of punks going to the graveyard, going to party, and then just getting bored and then running into the zombies and they get more than they counted on. It's great. I mean, the whole thing. It's
well, and Linnea Quigley early in the film discloses that while she is titillated, no pun intended, by death and dying, she also discloses that the worst imaginable way for her to die would be at the hands of a bunch of old men groping her.
Yes.
And guess what?
Yeah. No, that is. I am stunned that it didn't make the top 100. I would have thought.
I've never seen it.
Oh, you're
Liz,
kidding!
you gotta
Oh, it's
check
great.
it out.
No.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna-
funny.
It's on my list now.
The acting is just hysterical.
It is. It is the elevated B movie.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And it hits on all of the beats that you would want from a zombie movie, with a wink and a wry grin, and the whole everything that even from things like Plants vs Zombies, right? The ubiquitous video game
Mm-hmm.
where the zombies go brains.
Yep.
That's
Mhm.
Yes.
Return of the Living Dead, or
All
send
right.
more cops. That's those are. You live for that. It is so cool.
Send More Cops was apparently Dan O'Bannon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the one that he was the one that was doing the voiceover for Send More Cops.
Yeah. And for those of you not really familiar with Dan O'Bannon's background, he is one of the producers for Alien.
Writer.
Writer and producer.
Yeah, writer and producer. Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
Great call.
Good
Yep.
choice.
So, my number one is a movie that Mike and I recently saw together, and I think Liz recently saw this. With great expectations, this was something that was at the Overlook Film Festival.
Not the Nun.
No, The Nun was not at the Overlook, and it shouldn't have been because it was an overblown piece of poo. But Robert, our colleague, got an advanced copy of One Cut of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And it is the little engine that could for horror comedies, and it is the absolute masterclass in showing sort of back of house stuff. And I think that there's the expectations that you go in that it's supposed to be it's a Japanese art school that has been hired to do a movie, a low budget zombie movie with one camera take, constant movement, and so it's this like live drama with the camera moving in and out of the action. And I think you go through the first 45 minutes and they show the movie, and it's fun, and it's classic kind of cheap zombie stuff, and you kind of go, "Oh, that's clever," and then you realize that it's only 45 minutes into the movie. And then it stops, and then it flashes back to...
And it stops in a shocking way, because I remember when we were watching it, I thought, wow, this was really fast, but that's okay because I've watched too many horror films already at the Overlook Film
Right.
Festival, so this is good. I can get out and get some fresh air.
Right, but the things that you picked up on where there were some incongruous moments, where there
Right.
was there'd be hiccups, and there'd be things that look like, what's going on with? There's this weird pauses, and then you could see the actors like side eyeing, and it's like, and you realize it's like, it's a clever kind of a thing, showing that the lovable amateurs trying to make a horror movie. But that's not the movie.
No.
The movie is the second. It's essentially it's a 2-act. They rerun the whole movie again, but behind the scenes of the behind the scenes, and you can
Right.
see what generated all of the blunders and all of the and again,
Well, it's
give
really
you
3 acts
backstory.
because they give you the whole impetus for making it, which is
Right.
the second act.
Yep. And that's right. That's
Yeah.
that is the producers coming and
Right.
talking to them,
This
and they're
is
just
why they're
completely
doing it.
they're-
Yeah.
And the director is completely overwhelmed, and his wife joins the thing, and she's been doing these yoga classes, and so if I'm going to do a quote from this, and since it's a Japanese movie, I don't know much, but the catchphrase is "pum."
That's right.
Because there are these moments where all of a sudden it's like one of the characters off screen is just barfing his lunch out, and they're trying and the zombie's supposed to come in, and everybody's looking, it's like, what do we do? And the director's wife, who's now in is assumed a leading role sort of accidentally, goes to her self-defense classes and starts doing a self-defense class in the middle of the zombie movie. And I remember watching in the first act, it doesn't make any sense. And then,
Yeah.
but when you see it play out, it's hysterical. And the audience was just, we were we were rolling with laughter. It is.
I got to sit next to at this film. I got to sit next to friend of the podcast, Tom Carter, and he was very enthusiastic about this film.
Best film ever.
Best film ever,
Yeah.
says Tom Carter.
Yeah.
Friend
and
of the podcast.
He will, and Tom, I'm sure you're listening. You will probably agree with that. We had after the movie, it was just I had an ear to ear grin on my face. It was so much fun, and you realize that it's like, is this really how movies are made? I don't care, because this is, but it shows sort of the spunk and the effort, and these are actually amateur school. The film is actually produced and acted by college students who are going for a film degree. So it's like irony layered on irony.
Yep.
Meta layered on meta. It is
folded in on itself.
Yeah, and it's folks. It is recently arrived streaming. I will implore you to be patient with it. Yeah, because the second and third acts are like nothing you've seen.
Yes.
It is so much fun. It makes you love movies.
You know what I really love about this film? I am so happy when I went in to watch it that I didn't actually know the story.
Right.
And I thought, wait, this is really weird. And why are people making such a big deal out of this 45-minute film? And then, boom, mind blown.
Yeah. This was, it was a treat. And that was, I think, we've touched on two of our favorite films of the year that showed at Overlook.
Although I think I do yes, this did I think came to American audiences this year, but I think it's actually from 2016.
Yes, and it was a huge hit.
Yeah, it's like one of the biggest grossing films in Japanese history.
Yeah, so it had a budget of $25,000, and it hit. $25,000. It made $30.5 million worldwide, right?
Wow.
And that's with almost nothing from the U.S. because it never got a theatrical release.
Yeah.
So,
it's definitely a Blair Witch success story.
It is one of those, and it has become one of the treasures of recent Japanese cinema, and it's made celebrities out of all these no-name actors and producers, and it's one of those kind of things that makes you have faith in the small film again. So, yeah, you got to check it out.
Most importantly,
good choice.
It makes you laugh.
It is funny.
It is funny.
All right, speaking of laughing, let's go down our list of films from the best horror comedies of all time, starting with Liz.
Okay, I have 2015's Deathgasm, directed by Jason Lee Howden. I have 2008's Dance of the Dead, directed by Greg Bishop, and 2004 Club Dread, directed by Jay Shadra Shankar of the Broken Lizards comedy troupe.
Mike, we got to catch Club Dread.
I know. Yep. Yes, indeed. All right.
And then don't get mad at me when you say, what is wrong with you?
On my list, my terrible trio list for the best horror comedies of all time, I have 2014's Zombievers, which you can read Eric's review at scariestthings.com, 1T. I have 2019's Extraordinary, which you can read Eric Lee's review at scariestthings.com, and the 1985 masterclass in horror comedy, Return of the Living Dead, directed by Dan O'Bannon.
All right, and for my three, I have the 2006 New Zealand film by Jonathan King, Black Sheep. Also, you can read my review on Scariest Things. I follow that up with the 2006 campy, fun, gory movie, Slither, directed by James Gunn. And I top it off with, apparently it's 2016, but 2018 release for us.
Yes.
Or 2019. It's just it's been a slow rollout for One Cut of the Dead from 2000. And we just talked about the issuance date. So that's our roundup. Mike, you got any grave digging?
I do have one quick piece of grave digging. I just found this really interesting. They just announced this. This is from Scream co-creator Kevin Williamson. Miramax is doing a supernatural thriller called The Georgetown Project that stars, and I was just kind of intrigued by the whole.
Tied to The Exorcist, maybe?
No, possibly.
The Stairs?
It stars Russell Crowe as a troubled actor who is shooting a supernatural horror film. And I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting twist because it's sort of maybe kind of semi-related to the same construct as One Cut for the Dead.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. But anyway, they Sam Worthington, David Hyde Pierce, let's see, Russell Crowe, and a whole gang of other folks.
Wow, that is a
Adam Goldberg. Yeah,
This is not a $25,000 movie.
this is not a $25,000 film. I think they're still working on it. But Russell Crowe is confirmed as the sort of the main centerpiece to the film. And it's not clear if it's like a supernatural, or it's not clear if it's like a thriller about shooting a horror film or it's a horror film about shooting a horror film. But nonetheless, the text-only discussion of the Georgetown Project sounded kind of darn interesting. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for the Georgetown Project coming to a theater near you.
All right. Well, I have a strange thing that friend of the podcast, Ian Parker, sent to me. And this is for thinking about, it's just about Thanksgiving, so that means it's about Christmas shopping time.
Mm-hmm.
There's something.
You're getting me something?
I already gave you. You got the Wolverton weirdo thing over here because it creeped me out to have that in my house. No, this is something. There is a product designer named Mark Tessier, Teyssier, and he's doing something called skin-on interfaces, artificial skin for mobile devices. And I will show Mike here with this thing.
And I will scream.
It's a flesh-like wrap
I saw that
to put on your iPhone. And
why?
And not only that, but it has nerve sensing, and so you can pinch it or poke it, and it will react. It will do things if you touch it. It is Mondo Bizarro.
I think this is only going to be used for ill will.
Yeah, and it's like well,
ill will and sexual perversions.
I was gonna say, it's like you're gonna wrap it around a cylinder. How's this thing? What are you doing?
That is gross.
Yucky, and it looks like. I mean, the fact is, it's got like hairs and dimples and all kinds of nasty stuff. But by the time you actually hear this podcast, I will have a post on the website linking this bizarre thing. So if you want to get your loved one something that they can remember you by, you get a fleshy laptop or phone.
And Eric, if you buy one of these, the podcast is over. We're done.
Yeah,
I'm never talking to you again.
So Mike and Liz know what they're getting for Christmas.
No.
Gross.
This is total Videodrome.
Oh, gross.
So Liz, do you have anything?
I do not have any grave digging this week.
But you do have.
I do not.
But you do have an awesome tagline
to take us out with. And this is from Deathgasm. The road to hell is paved in metal.
There is somebody in this room who really appreciates that.
Hail Satan.
Hell Satin.
Hell Satin.
Hell Satin.
Have a good time in Europe, Liz, and we'll talk to the rest of you
Thank you.
guys in a couple of weeks. Or in a week, actually, from this podcast.
That's right.
Yay!